Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Body Podcast. This is Sarah Haas. I am so honored to be here and so honored that you have taken the time out of your day to be with me. And I have an amazing show today because I have Toni Bergins on. She's the founder and director of JourneyDance. And one of the reasons I wanted to have her on, well, first of all, as you know, as a nutrition and fitness coach, body movement is very important. It's not just important for your physical health, but one of the things is a lot of us have become disconnected from our bodies, from the present moment,
Mm,
and we ignore the body's signals. We've tuned out hunger, we've tuned out thirst, we've tuned out being tired because we're busy and we're doing this and that all the time, and we just don't have time for it. And so, one of the
hmm
things that I teach is exercise, body movement, walking, yoga, those kind of things, because those help you rebuild that connection. But another way of doing that, which Toni's going to talk to us, is through the movement of dance. And
mm,
that's not just about coming into your body, it's about what's inside, our feelings. We tend to numb out, we tend to ignore and stuff those feelings down with whatever. It could be food, it could be work, it could be alcohol, scrolling the internet. And when you move your body, you can allow those feelings to start to flow. And then going even deeper,
mm.
it can help you navigate and tap into your mind. And Toni's going to tell us a whole lot more about that. But I want to tell you about her first. She's the founder and director of JourneyDance, like I said, and she leads an international team of over 1,500 Journey Dance facilitators. So this is international, right? She's also the author of Embody, Feel, Heal, and Transform Your Life Through Movement, which is her book that is coming up on its 1 year anniversary. She also has instructional Journey Dance DVD. She has
That's very
online
old.
courses and a private practice with her embodied transformation method. Toni, so good to have you. It's so good to see you again.
So fun. I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love the boss body. I just think it's such a good
Ah,
name
yes, because we
because,
want to be the boss of our
everybody wants
body, of our
that and
mind, of our spirit.
right, and of our emotions, right?
Yeah, and
You want to be
there's
the
so many
creator.
ways of coming at that and so many
hmm
different modalities that we can use to do that. And your specialty is dance. And I would love to hear how you discovered that. What led you to start teaching people how to get in touch with their bodies and their minds
Mm.
and their psyches through dance?
I mean, it's really interesting talking to you, especially from the kind of, because I know you come from the workout world, and which was I was, I'd say in from starting at around 16, I had like those, the whole eating disordered, body dysmorphia, not fitting in school, feeling like I didn't belong. I was so weird in my own mind. I was not popular, all that stuff. So I started at that young age, like, all right, what can I control, right? What can I control? I can control the body. That's the thing I can
Yeah,
control. So I
yeah.
went into it and I loved working out. Like it was like addictive for me. I mean, I used to do muscle training. I mean, you're like so
Yep, me
buff, but
too.
anyway, we'll
Same
go
thing.
into
Love
that
it.
later. But like,
Yes.
I still love it, but I don't do it in the same way that I did. So sort of exercise became this obsession for me, probably from 16. I joined a gym at 16. Like I was like, this is the only place I want to go. Crunches, 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 like, and it was really about control. It was not, it was joyful, but at the same time, it was sad. It wasn't like, I wasn't like in love with my body. I was trying to control it in order to control something because when you're going through the adolescent period, it's so hard and there's so many things including breakups and first loves and all the things that happen, right? It's so complex. So what can you control? That's what I chose to control. In my family of origin, like I couldn't control anybody, so I thought I could control myself, right?
Yeah, and so
So
many of us experience that, and you have to use
absolutely.
what's available to you.
That's why there's so
when you're
many. I
that
mean,
age because you're
exactly.
not in control. You don't have control. You're under the influence and control of whoever's in charge of you.
Exactly. And I think that many young girls and boys, but mostly young girls do experience something of this nature because when I remember talking to my friends later, my high school friends much later, and everybody admitting that like we were all in that same vortex together. I think it was very, very pandemic at that time
Yeah.
in the 80s. It was very because the 80s was
Oh
a
yeah.
weird time anyway. I don't know if you grew up in the 80s, but if you grew up in
I
the 80s, it was
did.
all about like
Oh
looks
yeah.
and vibe and then brands and blah blah. It still is, but it's different now. Now we have social media. The whole world's different. But
Yeah,
it
my
was
way of
very
coping
specific.
was trying to be perfect in every
Yeah,
way. Look
absolutely.
perfect, act
Yeah.
perfect, please everybody, make perfect grades, be good at sports, never
Right.
fail.
It's so funny. I just feel like I always had something to not be perfect. Like I had braces later in life because
Oh
one of my teeth
gosh.
started twisting. So like at 16, I had it was like I always had something weird going on where I just couldn't be cool, like it was just so funny. But so what ended up happening was I got very into exercise. I got very into athleticism. And luckily for me, I enjoyed it. But it was more of an addiction, to be honest. Like just to really look at it, unpack it now, looking back. I was an empath, which I didn't know at the time, which means that my body is like a vortex for energy and I have what's called clairsentience, right? So if you believe in like any kind of abilities of psychic or any kind of abilities at all or not, it's totally fine. But I feel the room. Like when I walk in the room, I'm like, oh, this is a nice room or this is not a room I want to be in. Like I feel it in my guts. So
Yeah,
high
and
school is really
people
hard.
when you're around
Exactly.
people.
I mean, yeah, it was so hard. So I used bulimia as my way of purging at that time because I didn't know you could purge energetically. I didn't know you could purge your mind. You could feel the emotions because feeling
Yeah.
the emotions was so messy. That was not perfect. So no, right? In my
You
house,
don't
it was
have the
too
tools for that, and
exactly.
it's not modeled,
Yeah.
so no one's
Yeah.
teaching you how to do that.
Exactly. I mean,
You just
luckily
have
that's
to
what I'm teaching.
survive.
Yeah. Right. So in that mode, I had to be perfect. So I did the whole like college, grad school, all the things. I mean, I was like really smart. I just did everything as I possibly could to be right and good and okay. And I remember this vividly where I actually had never been a dancer like of the type that I am now. I mean, I love to dance and move and celebrate and be and have fun and do all the things, but I never considered myself a dancer. I didn't really, I wasn't successful in those kinds of environments. I could do aerobics because it was very easy. Those choreographies are a lot easier than dance was, because I mean, just
Yes.
to be honest, it's a lot more complex when they just go further and further into these choreographies. So I was really good at aerobics. I got all into all that stuff. And then what happened? This is the pivotal story that changed my life. Literally, I said my life literally changed on a dime. Like I had been going to Jeff Martin's studio, which was like this really hot studio in New York, and you have to call and get your spot. So you'd be close to the teacher, but on the left. So you knew exactly because I knew I could
Oh wow.
follow the best step if I was KK or LL or MM, which is like right here. And I had this teacher that I followed, Akiba, and I know the teacher I followed, Luis. Like I was obsessed. I went to everywhere. I was like every gym in New York. And then I had this like complete and total. I was trying to impress someone, right? I had this boyfriend. I was like 23 and I was trying to impress him. And I took him to Kripalu, which is this totally at that time, people would have thought this is so weird. Now it's like one of the most famous healing centers in the world. But at the time, it was like an ashram and it was still a little like everyone was wearing white and dressed in these outfits and it was a thing. And I went there and I took this dance class called Dance Kinetics, and it was like just completely free form dancing, no mirrors. I had never been in a class with no mirrors. Like literally,
No
I'd never been
way.
to a class with no mirrors. Right. This is the first
Because you
time.
have to know that you're doing it perfectly and you're
Exactly.
in
Up and
step with
down
the
and up and
teacher.
over and over. Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So I'm in this class with this beautiful man who his name is Yuri. He passed away and I knew him really well throughout his life. But later, this is just the pivotal story. So he's like totally out with his wounds and who he is as a person. He starts the class with like this is like 90s, right? So this is when we were still wound culture was very common where you'd tell your story right away and nobody would be shocked by that. I was shocked though. I was a New Yorker. I was like, oh my God, he just told me like something so personal. I'm not going to share it with you even. It was so personal. I would never have told that to anyone. But he said because of his life history, the only place he feels safe and comfortable is on the dance floor. And I was like, wow, this guy's deep. I was like so young and I danced and I literally had an out of body, in body like slam. It was almost like I didn't even realize I wasn't in my body. I was working out and exercising and all the things, but I was not in my body. I was literally in what I now call the escape hatch. Like, how do I avoid and numb out? And when I slammed into the body, I literally felt like, I know it sounds strange because you might be, if you're listening, you might be like, what does that even mean? Of course I'm in my body. But energetically, when you feel present and you're just like, I am here, every part of you is alive and electric with life. There's a difference between how we normally feel. Like, because numbed out is not the same as what I felt. And I burst into
Yeah.
tears. I cried and like just, I don't know how long it lasted, but I was hysterical, like having a catharsis, like something that never happened to me before. And I'd cried before, but not like this, not like a cry of joy. It wasn't a cry of grief. It was a cry of, oh my God, oh my God, it's whatever you want to call that mystery being. I just cried like, oh my God, I'm in my body. It was like, I got it. It was literally like
Wow.
a message was sent to me and it was delivered and I got it. And at that moment, I literally said, I'm never going to the gym again. Can you imagine?
Wow.
And being
No,
such
I
an
know. I can't
addict, right?
imagine.
So I was like, okay, done. Well, let me back at that in that time, it wasn't healthy for me. So I don't go to the gym now, to be honest, either, because I work out at home because now you can do everything at home. But
Yes. Oh, yeah.
point being, I cried and I realized it was like the realization was, okay, I am not just a body. I am not just a mind. I'm not just emotions. I am a whole energetic being. Like I have a presence. I am soul. It really, it was a spiritual awakening for me. I can't
Yeah.
say it any other way. And from that moment, I literally had no choice. I tried to do everything else to avoid this thing. And I ended up finishing my master's. I was a teacher for 6 years and all I wanted to do was dance. And I just danced and danced and danced and danced and danced. And then I studied and then I created my own dance form. And then from that point on, it was like I just had no other choice. They call it dharma in the yoga philosophy. They call it your dharma, like when you just you know what your mission is, you just want. So I literally feel like I'm choiceless, even though I love it and I made a choice. Here's my little
Yeah.
scarf. I'm a JourneyDance creator now. That's just who
That's
I became.
amazing.
And what happened was I evolved the form into. I realized what made me so turned on was that I could just be messy. I could dance like this and be all my emotions and like get weird. And it didn't matter what it looked like because there were no mirrors. And it wasn't about like trying to look good or perfect or steps or any of that. It was literally just complete free wildness. But yet there was a container. And I slowly learned how to make the container even more accessible and more powerful and more amazing. And I studied, tons of different things and brought all my psychology. I was obsessed with psychology all my life, and my mother was a therapist. I brought all my psychology to the dance floor. So then the fire, which I created this thing called the fire ceremony, became a time to purge anger, past trauma, you know, lineage trauma, whatever you're inheriting and whatever you're bringing forward. How do you become the game changer of your life? And because it just changed my life, and I just never was the same again. People would be like, "Wow, who was that?" Like I literally was a different person. It was almost like I just woke up. That's really the story. And that's why I do what I do. It's not because, some like I could tell you all about the somatics and how it's powerful and all the things it does for you scientifically, but that's not why I do it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it
It was
does. And
a it was
it's,
an awakening. It was like I'm
yeah,
here.
it was a
My jam is what I do. Yeah,
divine moment.
it
Absolutely. That
was.
just said, boom, lightning bolt. This is what you're
Yeah.
meant to do.
And
Yeah. I mean,
I never was gonna train anybody. Like I never had any fantasies of like, oh, I'm gonna become a teacher or trainer. I was doing this thing and one day I was like, I'm not doing dance kinetics anymore. I'm doing something totally different because I was doing a completely different thing now. And I was like, I'm gonna call this journey dance because I'm taking people on a journey. That's what I'm doing. So I'm journeying you from embodiment where you get into the body and you're rolling on the floor and there's all these floor work that I created, learned, and pushed put all together into like a it's all organic. You never feel like, oh, now stand up, now get up. It's not like that. It's just one flow and you just go with it. It's almost like the person who's taking the class has to just let go of control, ha ha ha, because that's what we're trying to do, and actually feel. So I've created a container so that I could feel in a controlled environment, right? So like it's got a container that because sometimes we're so afraid to just let ourselves feel, as you talked about with the numbness. So the container is about letting yourself feel, whether it's joy, which is so much of the work is joyful, sensual, that whole sexuality piece gets to be exposed in a good way. Feelings, emotions, anger, rage. Some people just have never, I don't know if you've ever tapped into rage, like as I'm sure you get a lot of women in your program. This is a women's program, correct? um, there's a sacred rage that when we can tap into that, to release it, to feel it, release it, and just empower yourself to say no, set boundaries. All these things we're not taught. We're taught to people please, fawn, always no conflict. I mean, women, I mean, you said boss, and I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yes.
But from the divine feminine, from that place of like, I know what is good and right, and what is beautiful, and we're mothers, we're caretakers, we're creators, we have the womb. Like there's so much to us that is so just built into the system that of course we're going to be different when we step into our power, you know?
Yeah,
So
power
I'm
was
really about
exactly the
empowering
word.
women. I mean, you're empowering women and in so many different ways. And the nourishing, I love that your other work is about nourishing because I feel like the dance gives the person and me the opportunity to feel the whole spectrum. Like nothing is cast out, nothing is abandoned, nothing is compartmentalized and put away. Of course, you do that in the public world, but on the dance floor, you bring it. You say, okay, I can feel, mm,
Yeah.
I can feel, like I can feel, yay, like I'm busy, everything. Some people have never been silly in their whole life. They would
Well,
never
yeah,
dance with a scarf. Like what
and
is,
as
this is
women, it's discouraged. It's really
exactly.
discouraged.
So many things are discouraged.
Showing emotions is like showing weakness. It's like, oh, women are so emotional, and
Oh my God, right?
emotional is a bad word. And so it's scary. And you said rage. Oh my goodness. Like anger, that is one that we are
Oh,
not allowed
no.
to
Yeah,
show.
absolutely.
And it seems like the feelings as you're talking, the initial feeling of, oh my gosh, okay, going into this dance, revealing my feelings, allowing
Right.
them to flow, tapping in, kind of
Seems like a
sounds
lot.
scary,
Oh,
because we're used to sort of holding on to
okay.
that and being a little more reserved. And then
Yep.
thinking about just letting your body move. And I'm not a dancer either. I can do aerobics and step class and all that all day
Right.
long, choreographed things, but
Oh, you'd
just
be shocked what will
organic
happen.
movements, like all of those don't seem that we're not used to it. So it's not going to immediately like
Yes.
think, oh, that sounds great. That I'm going
Let's
to
think of
just
it. Let's think of it
naturally
differently.
blend into that.
Yeah, yeah. So the way I think of it, like, I mean, I've been doing this for so many years now that I'm so wild that like nothing scares me in that area, and I've held so much space for. I think I've taught over 200,000 people because I teach
Wow.
Ekperpalu. I mean, because hundreds of people come in, and I started when I was so by the time I was like 25, I was subbing, and by the time I was 27, I was teaching. So I've been teaching for a long time. So I've met hundreds of people that have come through that place, and I've offered my full, I never go halfway. Like I'm not a halfway person. Like I go full on every
Mm-hmm.
time. So like if someone were to show up, people would say to me, they'd say, they can't even, they're like, that was the most fun I've ever had in my life. I'm like, okay, so that's number one. Let's say it's the most fun I've ever had in my life. One woman, she goes, that's better than sex, better than church, better than blah, 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 whatever, better than therapy. She said it was so funny. I wrote that down. I was like, what did you just say? Wait, wait, wait. This is before there was like the web, I just had to
Uh-huh.
write it down. So over the years, I've gotten all this feedback. So what the truth is, and by the way, that's why I stayed in it. Like I was, I never thought I'd teach. Someone said, can you please teach me what you're doing? And I said, okay, let's do it. So we made a manual together. She helped me create it because I had no idea. I was like, how do I look at this from the outside? I'm so in it that I can't really see it. It wasn't like I said, oh, I'm going to develop a dance form. No, I just did it, and then we looked at it from the outside. It's kind of the way science is done. You say, what is that? Now let me analyze it. So my work has been studied at Harvard, which is just recent, and
Oh,
my one of my dear
wow.
friends, yeah, she just got her master's in.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
I know, and she did a quantum social theory of healing and trauma healing through journey dance, and it was amazing. It's in the works right now, being published for her. So there's so much going on when we come to the dance floor. It's really nothing to be afraid of because nothing's going to happen to you
Right.
that you won't allow. Like everyone is in control of their system. We have defense mechanisms. We have all the proper things in place. So you might just feel joy the whole time and be like, wow, this is weird. I'm just going to let me throw some crap into the fire. Blah. And you don't have to go like into the altered state, but you might, you might just be like, oh, you know what? Right now, this wound from the past is bugging me. My
Mm-hmm.
relationship is falling apart because I
Mm-hmm.
was this blankety blank horrible thing happened to me in the past, and I'm still carrying it. So let's take it forward. What's in here? Let's put it in the fire. Let's offer it transmutation. Let's say, how do I feel this, right? I have to feel it. The whole point is, Louise Hay, the originator of let's feel it to heal it, she was right because the body is an energy system. So Bessel van der Kolk, he says his book, The Body Keeps the Score. All these phrases, they mean something. The issues are in your tissues. These are great phrases so that you can say, okay, I have nothing to be afraid of. This is me. So if I'm afraid of myself, it's really just, it's either you're afraid of yourself or you're not. So if you're afraid of yourself, then come and go gentle. You have the
Mm-hmm.
control. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm offering music and saying, does this make you feel joyful? Does this make you
Yeah.
feel sadness? Does this bring up frustration? I never tell anyone, go and feel your pain. That's not my thing. I'm like, what is in here? So it's a very gentle process, actually, of uncovering yourself. Like when I had my big catharsis, nobody told me that I was going to cry. No one said, feel your sadness, come back into your body. It just happened because I was open to the dance. And the music is a transportative portal creator. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. When you listen to music, it's like, so the music does so many things to your brain. I wrote about
Oh,
it all in my
yeah.
book. You want to know about the brain, you want to know about the trauma, it's all in the book. But I like to stay in the personal, so when your brain is on music, it does actually shift your perception. It's almost like it puts you in the observer state. Like you're in it so much, and then you're
Yeah.
also able to see that you're in it so much. We are such complex beings. We're so much more than one thing.
Yeah. And
That's
music
what I learned.
scientifically changes the brain. Different
Absolutely.
things are activating while you're listening to music and when you're moving your body. And so the combination of the
Yes.
two is is pretty powerful. And so are you when you're teaching, are you talking or do you just choose the music for kind of what you think is going to be helpful for that group at that time? Is there like a guidance
Mhm.
type thing? Explain
Yes.
how that
Journey dance
looks.
is totally, it's a guided form. So you will always be held. It's not like I just put the music on. There are definitely forms that put the music on and you go for it. And that's a little bit like less container than we have a little tighter container in Journey Dance. So my container that I created and that I teach all my teachers to do, there's a container. I call it, there's guidance, there's a leader. So it's called Journey Dance because you're being led with a guide. So
Right.
everyone is very much uh, trained in trauma informed practice and all the things. So we you be led in the movements a little bit, and then you'll be free in song after song, and then you'll be guided. Step into your emotional body. What would it feel like? So I'll give you an example. I have a process called move a mountain with your mind. Okay. So, people talk about the mind. I'm sure you've heard of Joe Dispenza. Like, there's so many things that we could do with our
Yeah.
mind. So I say
Yeah.
move a mountain with your mind. So I'll give you an example of the process. So the whole room will be dancing, and I'll play a song that has all these beautiful lyrics, and I'll talk about, and it has this edgy kind of beat to it. And I'll say, what is the mountain in your life that you need to move right now? Something that you want to move, that you want to shift, you want to change, a situation, yourself, a person, the world. I don't, whatever it is, it's all good. Dance that. So I have you press on the space, and that pressing on the space is a somatic release, right? It's called discharge. So we're pressing, push all of the mountains now into the middle. So now we've got this mountain range. Everybody's got their mountain in the middle. Okay, so then I say, let's step back now. How do you transform something? How do you do it? So I don't tell anybody what mountain to move or how to do it. I just give them
Mm-hmm.
these cues. It's a very gentle guidance. So we come to the edge. I say, so when my kids were small, when everybody was upset or whatever, I'd say, let's do opposite day. Let's have breakfast for dinner. Like I'd just be silly and try to shift the energy, right? Let's do that. So what would be the elixir to this mountain? Let's say your mountain is, I don't know, you're in the middle of a divorce and you want it to go smoothly, or you don't want it to break up, or you do need to set a boundary and break up. I mean, there's so many mountains, right?
Yeah.
It could be the world. You could be wishing for peace. So whatever it is you want to happen, your ideal outcome, become the elixir, I call it. So now I have everyone dancing. Like, so now I play different music, and now we're all like, okay, what would my elixir be? So I say, what would your elixir be? Would it be love? Would it be, joy? Would it be prayer? Would it be peace? What would it be? So you become that. And then we take that and dance it over the mountain, right? So this is a psychological process where your mountain is in the middle. We're not saying you don't have this problem, but we're saying, what would I take to shift that? So let's go further. So now we're all dancing our elixir over this mountain range. I say, so let's break this mountain range down. Let's make this fertile soil. Let's change this mountain range. And then everybody gets in the middle. I mean, we have 60, 100 people, 40, 10, doesn't matter. We're all doing it. So then we step away and we do like a group process. We'll have everyone now go to a little group and you're going to show each person your mountain and your elixir. So now they have this option. Okay, I have this, but I also have this. And it's empowering to know that you know the elixir, you have it inside of you. Whether it's going to happen in the outside world is not our it's not our issue right now. Right now we're saying, "Oh,
Right.
I can feel differently. I can look at the situation, have it outside of me for a moment and bring my own medicine to it." That's what I'm offering people to do. Then
Yeah.
we take it and we do like a big alchemy, which we call like which I do a fire ceremony. But that's just like one segment. There's also a moment where I will say this is what we use. I use these. I did psychodrama for many years, and this is a scarf, for example, is called projective object. It's like a costume, but it's not. I say this is your heart. Let's ball it up into a small ball and hold it in our arms. How is your heart? And the song will play, and I'll give a few gentle guidance. What would you like to whisper to your heart, or what is your heart whispering to you? Like what's going on inside? But when you're in that musical altered state, it doesn't feel like a therapy session. It feels like da da
Yeah,
da da
you're
da, right? And your
nurturing
dance
your heart, which we all
exactly.
need.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just like a physical manifestation of what you need inside in your heart, in your emotions.
And the reason why it works, so it's hard to explain this in like words, but it's very experiential stuff. I mean, people study everything, there's science on everything, but psychodrama is basically the art of taking the internal world and externalizing it so that you can see it. I was in
Right.
therapy for years. My mother was a therapist. I started, I mean, it's a whole story, but to make a long story short, I have a whole one woman show on all my therapies that I went to. But anyway, it's one of my funnier pieces. But by the time I hit this one therapy called Gestalt, where there were four chairs in the room, it became like, oh, now I could see there's my dad, there's my mom, there's my sister,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then I could interact with it, not in
Mm-hmm.
my mind,
Right.
outside. So something
Right.
about that process. So when I hold my heart now, when I'm laying in bed later on at night by myself alone or with my person that I'm struggling, or maybe in my beautiful relationship, maybe I have so much more access to my heart. Maybe my relationship improves so much because I've loved my heart and I can say, oh my God, I love you. Because I can't, if I don't love me, how can I love another person? So basically, that's the
Oh
healing.
yeah.
So there's healing all along, and it goes from, the embodiment all the way to prayer. I call it prayer because even though prayer is a very charged word, we all are constantly in prayer because every thought, every vibration we send out, we're attracting back to us our truth, right? So if
Yeah.
if if your life is looking really messy, you got to go inside and say, what am I thinking? What am I
Yeah.
creating? What am I
Yeah.
adding to? They say, feed the story that you want, don't feed the story that you don't want, right? This is in every shamanic tradition, every religion, every culture. Don't feed the story you don't want. How do we
Right.
stop
Every thought
feeding it?
you have is going to be mirrored back to you in your outward reality.
Right. I don't get too scared about that. I don't want to scare people because that scares me. But because sometimes
Well,
you
it's
have not a great thought. But
basic
yes,
manifestation, that's
yes,
the basis of it. But it
yes. So,
sounds like what you're doing is first of all allowing yourself to be vulnerable, which it
mm,
can be scary. I tend to be more conservative with my emotions, which is not
hmm
healthy, and I know that, and I
right.
work on that all the time. But by going through this journey with you, first you become vulnerable and then things start to flow and release. And ultimately, that is how you become powerful. That's how you
hmm
become your own boss.
And
Because then
centered, right? Yeah,
you can express emotions not just for yourself, but in your world, standing up for yourself, setting boundaries, allowing anger when anger is the thing that
appropriate. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Because
Yeah, so
otherwise, I
all
mean, I
that,
have so many stories for you about that, but I want to get back to one point just so I don't lose this one thread. So what I want to say about stories and psychodrama and telling your story to the dance floor is that if you have a wound an
Hmm.
old pain, like something that is so big.
We all do.
Right, right. So my point is we can't process that. The body is just like, I don't know how to process that. So
Yeah.
in the act of dance and telling it with your body and telling it in so many different ways, eventually it does get digested. And then you do
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I'm not activated by that anymore.
Yeah.
That's to me healing. Like that's all healing is that I'm
Absolutely.
no longer activated by that story of my past or by a thing that happened to me, a trauma. Because if I'm out of control of and I'm always in fight flight, I really don't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
So if I can retell and retell and retell on the dance floor, not to all your friends, not to the therapist, I
Right.
mean, and to the therapist too, but
Right.
if I tell it without words, I let the emotions do it. I feel cleansed, different, centered, present. And then I approach everything differently in my world. And then sometimes the
Hmm.
feelings come back up again. And guess what? I come back to the dance floor, I process them again. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with anybody. There's nothing wrong with you. You have to tell your story. There's nothing, I want people to feel honored on the dance floor. Like this is your sacred space to be all of it. It's not like every dance I come to and I'm full of rage. Sometimes I come to the dance and I'm in such a good space because life's happening in a good way, right? It's just we have life and it's always going to shift. So it's like a forever practice, really. It's not like a one and
Oh,
done. And we have so
everything
many
is,
layers,
right?
right?
Everything
We have
is a
so many,
lifetime of
yeah,
work.
so many layers of the past. Like I've been doing a lot of ancestral healing now. That's been my big thing the past 5 years because we've had so much world crisis going on. So all of our ancestry is being come into question, right? Like what
Yeah.
is this world really? What are we doing? So if we
Everything
could
that
look,
gets passed down from great grandmother to grandmother to mother
yeah,
to child to
exactly.
daughter. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
you just mentioned setting boundaries, and an example would be like there's a point at which you awaken to the fact that you do allow others to treat you as you allow them to treat you, and you train them. Like we train our
Oh,
children. I don't know if
yeah.
any of you have children, but if you have children, you know how hard it is. So,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and like someone said to me the other day, like, oh, read this book and follow this person on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. No, you got to be in my space, in my moment to understand my situation. So what I say is get empowered, get into your center, and then you will know. If you're done with a behavior, you'll say, this behavior is done. I can no longer abide by this behavior. So if you cannot change, you need to shift. Like it's like life starts to happen. You start to protect your heart instead of just
Yeah.
as women especially, we take so much. We take so much because we're programmed to take it. So my new thing now is how do I shift a program? How do I shift a program? Something that, and we don't know it's there until we can see it, right? And we can't even see it until we take the risk and we look. So I'll say, let's say we're in a, like I call it the altered state, the alchemy state, the shamanic state, the healing state when we're just in it. We're like, I wouldn't say it's a trance. It's not the right word, but trance dance, like these words, like what you've heard these words. If you
Yeah.
just shook, if you just shook for 5 whole minutes, you just shook for 5 whole minutes, you'd suddenly feel like, and then I asked you a question, what program is running your life right now? What
Yeah.
what is it? It could
Yeah.
be, oh, I hate conflict. I avoid conflict at all costs. I
Oh,
will
yeah.
I will bend, I will break, I will stuff, I will hide, I will cry privately. All the things we do to avoid conflict. Okay. Where's that program? It's like this is what I do with people. So like my goal is to help as many people as possible awaken right now to love. I know it sounds so silly, like what is it? What's her name?
No,
Awaken to love. The
that
famous
makes,
what's her name? With an M. Come on, she ran for president. Anyway, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We can't think of her name. Oh my God. Anyway, but she wrote
Because
all
you
the.
asked me, so I can't think of it.
Right,
Yeah.
sorry, she wrote all the books about the miracle. What's the miracles? The Course in Miracles. They talk about awakening to love. So how do you awaken to love? You have to unplug the programs that are about blockage and say these people are good and these people are bad. You know how many programs we have just on that alone? Oh,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
and depending on where you were raised, you've got yours, and depending on where you were raised, you've got yours. These people don't
Yep.
like these people, and these people don't like these people. And look at what we're doing right now to each other. So I'm all about like, how do I let go of that program? How do I take from my heart any like of that program and say these people are bad, these people are good. That's a big one. I've been working on that like the last year because of all the stuff going on in the world. We're in a very intense
Yeah.
place right now where we have to awaken. And I mean
Yes.
that like spiritually, emotionally, in all the areas, and
I
the
can't
body,
agree
of course.
more.
We know so much about the body now, everybody. Just do what you have to do. Drink your water. You know it already. No one should have to remind
Right.
you this way. Now it's
Right.
let's go to the next level now, right? That's what I feel like what happens on the dance floor is that you go to the next level. You're already dancing, you're already working out, you're already walking, you're doing your yoga, you're drinking your water.
Yeah.
Now what? Now where am I going? Right?
Right.
That's for me what I want to. I want to build a heart that is so huge that I could hold a space for someone in pain. So
Yeah.
someone can call me on the phone. I can say, what's going on? I can listen without having to fix them. It's like a whole nother reality when you come to that place.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that is absolutely beautiful. I love the work that you do. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I want to mention that Toni has a beautiful gift for anyone listening. It's called I Hold My Heart Care
Oh, yay. I
Package.
love that one.
And it's from her I Hold My Heart, which is a foundation dedicated to self love and self care for your heart, which we discussed earlier. And it's about discovering how to dance with your heart and share messages from and to your heart
Yeah.
for healing.
And there's a
And it has a
playlist in
beautiful
there.
letter to your soul. It has body movement demonstrations. It has a playlist. So it's a really good way for people to kind of get a taste of what you do. And I also want to mention that Toni has an online
Oh, yeah.
class every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time. I'm going to make sure all these links are in the show notes, and I'll make sure that you know how to find Toni and learn more about her and her work. And I can't thank you enough. Oh, and let
And
me,
I made
yep,
my book.
go
I
ahead,
made my
mention
book.
your book one more time.
So if you do get the book, there's a QR code in here. You bop in there. You could take the class, or you could go to the portal where I have other playlists, videos, and a whole. Then you can go deeper in and get like 40 videos. But that's a whole nother, click through the whole situation.
Fantastic. Well, you are so much fun, and it has been such a pleasure. And I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your beautiful magic and your message.
Can I just say, you are so inspiring. Whenever I talk to you, I get like, I go to a different location of the work because
Oh,
you summarize and you grok like the material in such a deep way. Just want to honor that. I mean, I really
oh,
didn't know
thank
you until
you.
this year, and I'm so happy to be
Thank
in your
you.
orbit as well.
Same. Everything you're saying is resonating so deeply, and it's just so beautiful.
Let's do it. Let's do a dance together. Let's do
Absolutely.
something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
Well,
right.
thank you all for being here and thank you for listening in, and I will see you soon.